Everyone in the room feels it before anything happens. That subtle pressure, the sense that something needs to be said. Most people mistake that feeling for urgency. They rush to act. They rush to speak. They rush to decide. He doesn't. He sits still, already aware of the invisible timer running inside everyone else's head. He knows something they don't. The first person who moves loses something. Not loudly, not dramatically, but irreversibly. The room isn't hostile. It doesn't need to be. A simple table, muted lights, neutral faces pretending to be relaxed. Across from him, others are already leaning forward. Hands move, eyes dart. Small adjustments betray impatience. They want resolution. They want closure. They want this moment to end. He wants something else. Time. Because time doesn't belong to the person who wants it to pass. It belongs to the person who can endure it. He learned this lesson long before this room. Not from a book, not from advice, from watching outcomes, from noticing a pattern most people miss. The ones who rush rarely win cleanly. The ones who wait almost always walk away with more. He remembers watching negotiations where the loudest voice seemed confident at first, decisive, certain, but confidence that moves too quickly leaks information. It reveals priorities. It exposes fear. The quiet ones never looked impressive in the beginning. They looked passive, even weak, until the end. Waiting is uncomfortable because it removes distraction. There's nothing to hide behind when nothing is happening. Silence magnifies intention. Stillness amplifies pressure. That's why people move. They adjust their chair, they clear their throat, they speak when there's nothing new to say. They think action creates control. It doesn't. It transfers it. He watches this happen in real time. One person across the table glances sideways, looking for reassurance. Another shifts their posture, trying to reclaim dominance. They don't realize they're already reacting. And reaction is always secondary. The one who reacts is responding to a frame they didn't create. Waiting creates the frame. There's a reason high-stakes environments reward patience. In military strategy, the side that rushes reveals position. In business, the side that moves first often concedes ground without noticing. In relationships, the one who needs resolution first usually gives up leverage to get it. Waiting forces the other side to show their hand. Because humans are not built to sit with uncertainty. Uncertainty feels like danger. So people try to resolve it. And in doing so, they expose themselves. He doesn't enjoy this moment. This isn't arrogance. It's discipline. Inside, he feels the same urge as everyone else. The impulse to move things forward, to ease the tension. But he recognizes the urge for what it is. Weakness disguised as productivity. Waiting is not inactivity. It's restraint. And restraint is expensive. That's why so few people can afford it. He learned this early in environments where hierarchy wasn't announced. It was felt. The higher the rank, the fewer the movements. The fewer the words, the slower the decisions. Not because they were unsure, but because they didn't need to prove speed. Speed is for those afraid of losing momentum. Patience belongs to those confident they already have it. Across the table, someone finally breaks. They offer clarification, then justification, then reassurance no one asked for. Each sentence tightens the frame around them. He listens, not to the words, but to what the words are trying to cover. Fear of delay, fear of rejection, fear of silence. Waiting has a way of turning fear inside out. This is why waiting feels powerful. It's not dominance, it's exposure. The one who waits doesn't force anything. They allow others to reveal themselves. There's a real-world principle behind this. In behavioral psychology, delays increase cognitive load. When someone expects a response and doesn't get one, their mind fills the gap. They project, they assume, they overcorrect. That's why unanswered messages feel heavier than rejection, why pauses feel louder than arguments. Waiting turns the other person inward, and most people don't like what they find there. He's seen this play out in interrogations, negotiations, boardrooms, and everyday conversations. The interrogator asks a simple question, then waits. No pressure, no threats, just silence. The subject speaks, then stops. The silence remains, and suddenly the subject continues, adds context, clarifies, explains. Not because they were asked to, but because waiting feels unbearable. The interrogator didn't extract information, the subject volunteered it. Waiting did the work. Back in the room, the dynamic has shifted. The energy now flows toward him. They're waiting for a reaction. This is the moment most people rush. He doesn't. He lets the silence stretch just long enough to feel deliberate, not awkward, intentional. When he finally speaks, his words are few, measured, unemotional. He doesn't explain his reasoning. He states a position, because waiting already communicated everything else. This is something people misunderstand. Waiting is not about winning immediately. It's about controlling the direction of movement. The one who waits decides when the game advances, and whoever controls timing controls outcome. You see this everywhere once you notice it. The person who replies instantly appears available. The one who waits appears selective. The company that rushes to accept terms loses negotiation power. The one that pauses gains it. The person who reacts emotionally gives away leverage. The one who holds emotion dictates pace. Waiting is not passive, it's active containment. It requires emotional regulation, self-trust, and a tolerance for discomfort. That's why most people can't do it. They confuse waiting with weakness. They fear being seen as indecisive. But decisiveness without patience is just anxiety in motion. True control doesn't rush resolution. It allows pressure to build naturally, and pressure always reveals truth. He remembers a moment earlier in his life when he didn't understand this. He rushed to be understood, rushed to be validated, rushed to secure outcomes. He thought clarity came from speed. What he didn't see was how much ground he was giving up. Each quick response surrendered mystery. Each fast decision exposed priorities. Each reaction handed control to whoever set the pace. It wasn't until he observed someone else move differently, someone who didn't chase resolution, who didn't fear pauses, who seemed comfortable letting moments breathe. That person was never cornered, never rushed, never forced into bad decisions. Others adapted to them. Waiting created gravity. Back in the room, the conversation concludes quietly. No dramatic agreement, no confrontation. But the outcome is clear. The people who rushed feel drained. The one who waited feels intact. He stands. The meeting ends. Nothing about this moment looks powerful from the outside. No raised voices, no bold declarations, but the control was absolute. This principle extends far beyond rooms like this. In arguments, the first to react usually loses ground. In conflict, the one who waits dictates escalation. In life, the person who doesn't need immediate answers often gets better ones. Waiting doesn't mean avoidance. It means choosing timing. It means trusting that not everything needs to be resolved immediately, especially when resolution benefits the other side more than you. There's a reason ancient philosophies valued stillness. Stillness sharpens perception. Waiting deepens awareness. When you don't rush, you see patterns others miss, motives beneath words, tension beneath politeness. Waiting creates clarity, and clarity produces better decisions. This is why waiting feels threatening to others. It disrupts expectations. It removes predictability. People don't know where they stand with someone who waits, and uncertainty shifts power. The lesson is not to delay everything. It's to stop moving just to relieve discomfort. Ask yourself why you feel the urge to act. Is it strategic, or is it emotional? Because emotion always wants immediacy. Control prefers patience. The one who waits is not slow. They are selective. They don't act less. They act later. And later is often better. In a world obsessed with speed, waiting stands out. That's why it feels uncomfortable. And that discomfort is precisely where leverage lives. The one who waits doesn't chase outcomes. They let outcomes come to them. Because whoever controls timing controls direction. And whoever controls direction controls the outcome.